Join ForumIAS Academy, trusted by hundreds of toppers, including IAS Rank 1 𝐂𝐡𝐚𝐧𝐧𝐞𝐥 Sharma.
Hi, my name is Krishnan. Today I'll be doing the Hindu news analysis. These are the 5 articles that are taken up for discussion, and towards the end we'll see previous year questions. So the first article is about Shanghai Cooperation Organization, and in this the author talks about how we can improve SEO. So what happened? Recently, India successfully hosted the 23rd meeting of the Council of Heads of States of the SEO. So she's telling this is another SEO moment. So what happened? Their leaders signed something called as the New Delhi Declaration, and they talked about countering radicalization and cooperation in digital transformation and things like that. And most importantly, Iran was given full membership. So Iran is the newest member of SEO, and they have signed the memorandum of obligations for Belarus to join SEO as member state, and they adopted something called as the SEO's economic development strategy for the period until 2030. So she's telling so there's something called as SEO family now, because all these values show SEO is a family. But what is the future? There's a changing world, because history is changing like never before. There are geopolitical tensions, economic slowdown, energy crisis, food shortage, and climate change. So all these things are going on. So she's telling we are living in a time when world is changing like never before. So what we should do? These challenges require the joint response of all countries. So what are the major risks to world peace and development? Power politics, economic cohesion, technology decoupling, and ideological contest. So what is power politics? Power politics is like one country trying to show its power on others, or trying to show who is more powerful and all those things. Economic coercion is having those sanctions and all those things. So what is the way forward for the world community? Are you going to be united or split? There's going to be peace or conflict? Are countries going to cooperate or confront? So it is the international community that is supposed to answer. So what has happened over the years? SEO is becoming a community with a shared future, and what the SEO members are firmly supporting each other in upholding their core interest and synergizing their national development strategies and regional cooperation initiatives. So both they are taking into consideration. So what the member states have done, they have carried forward the spirit of good neighborliness and friendship, built partnerships featuring dialogue instead of confrontation. So see, dialogue instead of confrontation, and cooperation instead of alliance. So what has SEO done in this regard? They have been contributed to regional peace, stability, and prosperity. So what the author is telling, if you do all these things, there will be peace, development, and win-win cooperation. So she's telling international relations must be win-win. One country should also win, another country should also win. There should not be win-lose, there should be win-win. That's what she's trying to say. The SEO's leading an exemplary role can help strengthen unity and cooperation, seize development opportunities, and address risks and challenges. So she's telling there's a new era. So what should SEO members do? They should strengthen strategic communication, deepen cooperation, and support each other's development and rejuvenation. So what SEO is doing, they're building a better homeland together, moving towards certainty, positive energy. So all these things are needed for the world. And next she is telling we should enhance solidarity. Solidarity means a feeling of being together among world countries, and there should be mutual trust for common security. Next she is blaming the US. She is telling there are some external elements that are orchestrating a new Cold War, and block confrontation in a region. So she is blaming, indirectly she is blaming the US. So she's telling SEO should address this with high vigilance and firm rejection. Next, what the SEO members need to do, they need to upgrade security cooperation, crack down in a decisive manner on terrorism, separatism, extremism and transnational organized crimes. Next, what she is telling, SEO should pursue cooperation in digital, biological and outer space security and facilitate political settlement when it comes to international and regional hotspot issues. So again she is telling the same thing only, there should be win-win cooperation, then only we can have shared prosperity. Protectionism, unilateral sanctions and decoupling undermine people's well-being all of this. So what is protectionism? Protectionism means one country for trade they are blocking other countries economic opportunity. So that is protectionism. So let's say US will say we will not allow these products, or China will say we will not allow these products. This is protectionism. Unilateral sanctions means economic sanctions. So the author is telling these things will affect the overall well-being. So she's telling what should SEO do. So at this juncture, SEO should do more collaboration in trade, investment, technology, climate actions, infrastructure and people-to-people engagement. So then only there will be high quality and resilient economic growth of the region. So all these SEO countries should come together and there should be collective efforts to scale up local currency settlement between SEO members, and all these things are coming up, sovereign digital currency and establishment of an SEO development bank. So when world is going towards protectionism and unilateral sanctions, SEO should do all these things. So this is what she is trying to tell. And there is a need for multilateralism. So the world should not be just unilateral in nature, it should be multilateral. More countries should have a say in the affairs of the world. So in this regard, what SEO should do, there should be more engagement with observer states, dialogue partners, and you need to have other regional and international organizations such as the UN. They should all come together and they should uphold the international law, international system. So those things should be preserved. So she's saying then only if we are united we can promote world peace, drive global development and safeguard international order. And finally she's telling something very important. So she's telling SEO success story is a part of the broader global partnership of emerging economies and developing countries. So she's telling developing countries are doing good. The problem is because of developed country, like this she's indirectly telling. So finally what she's telling, as changes to the global landscape unfold, emerging economies and developing countries continue their collective rise with greater cohesion and global weight. So SEO, what SEO is trying to do, what? Progressive force for world fairness and justice. So over the next 2 months what is going to happen? South Africa and India will preside over the BRICS and G20 summits respectively. So you all know G20 summit is going to be in India and BRICS is going to be in South Africa. So what she is telling, these will be significant movements to shape a multipolar world order, promote inclusive global development and improve international governance and architecture. So what will China's role be in this? So what they are telling, China is committed to working with India, South Africa and other partners from the South to put into action global security initiative, global development initiative and global civilization initiative. So she's saying all this will contribute to world peace, security and prosperity. So finally what she's saying, we need to pursue common, comprehensive, cooperative and sustainable security, and we should respect each other's country's independent choice of path of development and social system. So one country should not tell us ours is better or force its system on others. So that's what she's trying to tell. And she's saying security interests of all countries deserve consideration. And dialogue and diplomacy offer the best hope to address international disputes by peaceful means. So no war, no sanctions, just dialogue and diplomacy. And the security challenges, there are conventional challenges and non-conventional challenges. They should be dealt in a holistic manner. And then she's telling we should have a united, equal, balanced and inclusive global development partnership, because they only promote humanity's common values of peace, development, equity, justice, democracy and freedom. Then there will be a global governance which will be fairer in nature. So SEO should fight against what she is telling, against hegemony. Hegemony of who? She is here indirectly, she is mentioning US. Hegemony, unilateralism, Cold War mentality and bloc confrontation. So bloc means one set of countries against another bloc, another set of countries. So she is telling we should not have these things. And illegal unilateral sanctions. So there are economic sanctions, right, on Iran, Russia and all. So she's telling this illegal unilateral sanctions, long arm jurisdiction measures should be rejected. So if you do this, we'll safeguard the development rights and legitimate interest of the developing world. So we should take care of all these things. Then the interest of developing world will be taken care of. So this is what she is trying to tell. So she's telling SEO is doing all these things. Now let us move on to the next topic. This topic is about no trust motion. So what is happening? The speaker, who is the speaker of Lok Sabha? It is Om Birla. So he has accepted the no confidence motion, which was moved by the opposition against Narendra Modi government over Manipur violence. So we'll see what is this no confidence motion and what are the other types of motions that are available in the parliament. But let us first see what the issue is. So what does the speaker said? He's asking for time to discuss the issue and fix the time of the debate later. So who has moved this no confidence motion? It is the deputy leader of the Congress in Lok Sabha, 𝐂𝐡𝐚𝐧𝐧𝐞𝐥. So because he's telling he's from the northeast and he wants to know what the government is doing in Manipur. So 13 working day of the monsoon session is left, and the Lok Sabha speaker can take up to 10 days to schedule a no confidence motion debate as per procedure. So no confidence will definitely, the motion will definitely take place in the parliament. So what they are telling, Manipur has been suffering, and they have tried many days to get a statement from the Prime Minister. So that's why we are moving this no confidence motion. So what has the Congress done? It had issued a 3-line whip. What is a whip? Whip is someone who is appointed by the party leadership, and he'll ensure that all party members take the same stand. If they don't take the same stand, what will happen? If party members are not listening to what the whip is saying, then it is defection. So the whip will ensure all members take the same stand. So floor leaders of the India bloc's 26 parties. So what is this India bloc? This is the new opposition against the NDA of BJP. So they met at the office of Congress President and leader of opposition in Rajya Sabha, Mr. 𝐂𝐡𝐚𝐧𝐧𝐞𝐥. So why did this means? At least for no confidence motion, that is the no trust motion, needs the support of at least 50 or more members to be adopted in the House. So now let us see what is no confidence motion, what are the other motions that are there. So what is a no confidence motion? It is a motion, it is a parliamentary motion. It is moved in the Lok Sabha against the entire Council of Ministers. So that you should know, against the entire Council of Ministers, when other members think they are no longer deemed to hold the position of they are no longer deemed fit to be ministers and prime minister, because other members feel that they are inadequate or they have failed to carry out their obligations. And this is a very important thing. No prior reason needs to be stated. So those who are moving the no confidence motion, there's no need for them to tell why they are doing this. So what is the procedure to move a no confidence motion? It can be introduced only in the Lok Sabha, so that you should know. It can be introduced only in the Lok Sabha under Rule 198, and this also is very important. The Constitution of India does not mention about either a confidence or a no confidence motion. So then how we are doing this no confidence motion? Because Article 75 says Council of Ministers shall be collectively responsible to the Lok Sabha. So from this we are coming up with a concept called no confidence motion. So how do you admit it? We saw this already. 50 members should support the motion in the House. Then when the speaker is once satisfied that the motion is in order, he will ask the House if the motion can be adopted. So if the motion is passed in the House, then the government is bound to vacate the office, which means the Prime Minister and other Council of Ministers should resign. So, but how do you pass a no confidence motion? It needs a majority vote. So then see, if individuals or parties abstain from voting, those numbers will be removed from the overall strength of the House, and then the majority will be taken into account. So this is very important. Next, there is something called as privilege motion. So what is a privilege motion? It is moved by a member when he feels that another minister, so this is not against everybody, when a minister has committed breach of privilege of the House by withholding facts of a case or giving wrong or distorted facts. So then he can move privilege motion. So it is what it does, censuring the concerned minister. It can be moved in Rajya Sabha as well as Lok Sabha. So only minister, not the entire council of ministers, only that particular minister. So next we have censure motion. So this should state the reason for its adoption. So for earlier we saw for no confidence motion, there is no need to state its reason for adoption, right? But for for censure motion, the reason should be stated. So this can be moved against an individual minister or a group of ministers or the entire council of ministers. So it is moved to censure the council of ministers for specific policies and actions. So this also can be moved only in the Lok Sabha. Next we have call attention motion. So this is introduced in the parliament by a member. Why he does that? When there is a need to talk on urgent public importance, and he wants a authoritative statement from the minister or prime minister, he will do the call attention motion. So this also can be done in both Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha. What is adjournment motion? So this is done in Lok Sabha when there is a need to draw attention of the House to a definite matter of urgent public importance. So this is a method to censure the government. This also can be moved only in the Lok Sabha. Next, what is their motion of thanks? This is very important because the first session of after each general election and the first session of every fiscal year is addressed by the president. So the address of the president is discussed in both houses of the parliament, and a motion. So at the time, motion of thanks on a motion called the motion of thanks. So this motion should be passed in the House after the president's speech. So if the motion is not passed, then it amounts to defeat of the government. Next we have cut motions. So what is a cut motion? It is a special power vested in the members of Lok Sabha. So let's see, a cut motion means if the members are opposed to allocation of money in the finance bill as a part of demand for grants, they will come up with cut motion. If this motion is adopted, it amounts to no confidence motion. And if the government fails to come up with numbers in the lower house, then it should resign. If cut motion is passed, then the government should resign. Next, there are other policy cut motion. Policy cut means the entire amount, let's say the entire amount is 5 crores, then it will be reduced to ₹1. That is policy cut. What is economic cut? The members will tell the amount will be reduced by a specified amount. That is economic cut. What is token cut? They'll reduce the demand by ₹100 just to tell in a token measure that they are against it. So all this can be moved only in Lok Sabha. Now let us move on to the next topic. So what has happened? Supreme Court on Wednesday agreed to hear on July 27 an urgent application which was moved by the center. So what the center is asking, they are asking you allow the Enforcement Directorate Director Sanjay Kumar Mishra to continue office till October 15. So earlier the Supreme Court had asked him to quit office by July 31. So why this happened? Because he's getting third consecutive extension. So the Supreme Court is telling this is illegal. So but the court on July 11 had told that he can stay in office only till July 31, and then they'll have to find a replacement for him. But what the central government is telling, Mr. Mishra's presence is necessary to do the ongoing evaluation by the FATF. So what is FATF? We'll see in the end. So, so the Solicitor General Tushar Mehta, he was appearing for the center. So what is telling? He asked for an extension of Mr. Mishra's tenure from July 31 to mid-October 23. So what they are telling in the 12-page application, they are telling the Union of India is compelled to approach the Supreme Court seeking extension in view of the ongoing FATF review, which is at a crucial stage. So why they are telling that is the submissions on effectiveness of the anti-money laundering regime in India were made on July 21, and an on-site visit by an FATF assessment team was scheduled in November. So they are telling at this juncture it is essential to have someone who is well acquainted with the status of money laundering investigations proceedings across the country and of the intricacies of the procedures, operations, activities, all those things that are going on. So they are telling Mr. Mishra's continuation would be pivotal to ably assist the assessment team with necessary reports, information, statistics, etc. So they are telling any transition in leadership at this stage would impair the ability of the agency to provide necessary assistance. So they are telling if we change the chairperson now, the director now, there will be a lot of negative impacts. And what the center is telling, see, they are telling the ED director post is not a promotional post, so they are not spoiling someone else's career opportunity because of the extension which is given to Mr. Mishra. So why all this happening is because Mr. Mishra is in 5th year as ED directorate. So earlier in its July 11 amendment, Supreme Court upheld amendments enacted in 2021 to CVC Act, DSP Act and fundamental rules allowing CBI and ED chiefs a maximum 3 annual extensions beside their 2-year fixed tenure. So the fixed tenure is 2 years only, but 3 extensions, annual extensions they can get. So why did this change come about? Because Supreme Court in September 2021 directed the government to stop giving extensions to Mr. Mishra. So this amendments allowed the government to overcome court's direction and grant him to another 2 extensions. But Justice Gawa, he was okay with it. So he is telling this is not the sweet will of the government, but it is a recommendation given by the high level committee. So the high level committee itself has said this officer needs extension. So what was this committee comprising of? It's a 5-member panel composed of CV, Central Vigilance Commissioner and Vigilance Commissioners, and they had to recommend if ED director was worthy of an extension in service. So same with the case of CBI director. In this, the high level committee should have Prime Minister, Opposition Leader and Chief Justice of India. So they should tell if he is worthy of extension. So the judge said, okay, this judgment is, this amendment is fine only. Now in this article, what is important? We should see what is FATF. So it is a terrorist financing watchdog set up in 1989, and it developed out of a G7 meeting in Paris. So initially they just wanted to examine and develop measures to combat money laundering, and after 9/11 attacks, FATF expanded its mandate to incorporate exports to combat terror financing. And in 2012, in its effort, it added countering the financing of proliferation of weapons of mass destruction. So the FATF looks into those things also. So how FATF session goes about? They have something called as the FATF plenary. This is the decision making body of the FATF, and it meets 3 times a year. There are totally 39 member countries, and there are 37 countries actually out of the 39 members, and 2 are organizations, regional organizations, that is the European Commission and the Gulf Cooperation Council. So in 2006 India was given observer status, and India became a full member in 2010. So India is also a member of its regional partners. So who are FATF's regional partners? Asia Pacific Group and Eurasian Group. So the FATF Secretariat is located in OECD headquarters in Paris. So they are known for giving something called as grey list and black list. So they will give us something called as mutual evaluation report. So if a country has major deficiencies in its AML or CFT, so AML means anti-money laundering, CFT means combating financing terrorism. So if there are major differences in AML or CFT, it is put on a list of jurisdiction under increased monitoring, that is grey list. And if it fails to address FATF concerns, it will be put on high risk jurisdiction, that is blacklist. So what should a country do to be pulled out of the grey list? The country has to fulfill what FATF is telling. For example, the country should stop finances to the individual terrorist accused of financing terrorist activists, or confiscate its properties, so on and so forth. So if the FA is satisfied with the progress, it removes the country from the list. So what is the grey list? The grey list includes countries that are considered safe haven for supporting terror funding and money laundering. So this is a warning to the country to tell that they may enter the blacklist. So blacklist, who are in blacklist right now? Iran, North Korea and Myanmar are the 3 blacklisted country. Why is Myanmar in the list? Because due to actions by the military leadership after 2021 coup. So if a country is enlisted in this grey and blacklist, what happens? They might have to go through economic sanctions, they might have problems in getting loans from financial institutions and countries, reductions in international trade, and they will even face international boycott. And recently, India puts constant pressure on FATF to have Pakistan in grey list, but recently Pakistan was removed from the grey list. Why? Because they had shown significant improvement in taking action against terrorist financing. So India also agreed to the decision to take Pakistan off the list, because they had submitted documentary evidence that they are taking action against designated terrorist. So if once Pakistan is being removed from the grey list, then what will happen? Pakistan will receive a reputational boost and a clean bill of health from the international community on terrorist financing. So this is good for Pakistan also. Now let us move on to the next article. What has happened here? Lok Sabha has passed the Forest Conservation Amendment Bill. So what has happened? Lok Sabha has passed the Forest Conservation Amendment Bill without any changes from the earlier version. So why was this bill introduced? It was introduced to amend the Forest Conservation Act 1980. So what this law did, the legislation empowered the central government to ensure that any forest land diverted for non-forestry purposes is duly compensated. And it does what? It extends its remit to land even beyond what is often officially classified as forest in state and central government records. So the amendments in the bill now passed by the Lok Sabha, it has clauses that specify the types of land where the original act is inapplicable. So what they are doing, this amendment is encouraging the practice of cultivating plantations on non-forest land, which can increase India's tree cover over time. This will act as carbon sink and aid India's ambition of having net zero carbon emission by 2070. So the law also seeks to remove restrictions imposed by the Act in creating infrastructure that would aid national security and create livelihood opportunities for those residents who live on the edges of the forest. But what few groups are telling, they are telling this dilutes forest protections. So objections were raised on various aspects by the bill when it was introduced. So what happened? The government set up a joint parliamentary committee, and 1,300 representations came from tribal groups, think tanks, and all those things. But the joint parliamentary committee had dismissed everything. So there were objections that the amendments diluted the Supreme Court's 96 judgment in the Godavarman case. So what did the case tell? Protection to wide tracts of forest should be extended even if they were not recorded as forest. And there were objections to the Act's new name. So what is the Act's new name? 1. Sanrakshan evam Samvardhan Adhiniyam. So this is translated as Forest Conservation and Augmentation Act instead of the existing Forest Conservation Act. And why they are against it? Because they are telling this is non-inclusive and left out many among the non-Hindi speaking population, both in the South India and also in the Northeast. So they are telling the large parcels of forest land near the borders would no longer be protected. But what the minister is telling, see, we need better infrastructure for soldiers. We have made provisions in the bill that would enable our soldiers stationed in sub-zero temperature at Ladakh to access better roads and infrastructure. So, and he's telling people should do social forestry, but people are not doing it because they are scared that forest laws will prevent them from cutting the tree. So, he's telling India is an importer of timber. We have made changes to the bill so that people get into agroforestry. And finally saying this act will be a milestone one for India. Now let us move on to the next topic. This topic is about West Bengal government setting up mangrove cell. So as you all know, West Bengal is home to about 40% of mangrove forest in India. So the government has set up mangrove cell in the state. So what this platform will do, it will bring certainty in the continuity of the efforts of the government in conserving mangroves. So this cell will look into annual action plan for the plantation of mangroves, and it will also look at the maintenance and of mangroves, and it will coordinate with NGOs. So they are having symposium and things like that to talk about mangroves, and they are generating funds from private and international players. So they'll do all those things also. So what the authorities are telling, as you all know, the mangroves is a fragile ecosystem, and sea level rise is there, subsidence of landmass is there, so, and there is frequent tropical cyclones also, so all these are posing a threat to the region. So once the land subsides and the sea level rises, there will be a huge challenge of what will happen to the coastal population. So around the Sundarban, there is the mean subsidence of landmass is about 15 millimeter, and sea level rise is about 4 to 5 millimeter. And already several islands have submerged, and 100 square kilometers of mangroves have already been lost in the last 20 years. So these are all based on internationally recognized studies. So the main threat is sea surge. So the sea surge only is causing maximum damage during the cyclones, and and even if you build high embankments, it is not they are not able to stop it. But in spite of that, the mangrove plants prevent coastal erosion by mitigating sea surge. So in spite of all those things, mangroves are helping only. So what they are doing, they are going to do mangrove saplings. So 15.56 crore mangrove saplings were planted by the West Bengal Forest Department, and they have mobilized a lot of agencies, and 1780 detailed project reports were made, and all the plantations were done by women, and 80 crore was spent and 75 crore was sourced through Menrega's wages. So they are making women do all these things. So what they are telling, in 8 to 10 years they'll have an impregnable bioshields around the Sundarbans because they are doing the mangrove saplings. So this is the 2-day symposium is going on. In this they are talking about how to do this robust value chain around the mangrove ecosystem. So what they are telling, the mangroves are a very fascinating species, and about 84 species are found in the country, and for planting only 70 to 18 species are considered. So they are doing sustainable aquaculture in the mangrove ecosystem. They are doing it in a village in Minakan in the North 24 Pargana district. What is it called? Sustainable aquaculture in mangrove ecosystem. So now let us see about mangrove forest. Mangrove is a small tree or shrub. It grows along the coastlines. So it taking root in salty sediments which are underwater. So the word mangrove refers to habitat as a whole, or the trees and shrubs that grow in the swampy areas. So they are flowering trees only. So where can you find them? They are found only along sheltered coastline with tropical or subtropical latitudes, because they cannot withstand freezing temperatures. So they have the unique capability of growing within the reach of tides in the salty soil. So you can see this in the map of India. Mangroves or mangrove forest, you can see them only in the coastal districts, coastal states of India. So right now you have around 5,000 square kilometer of mangroves, which is 0.15% of the country's geographical area. And as you all know, West Bengal is the highest percentage of area under mangrove cover, and followed by Gujarat and Andaman. Largest mangrove forest, it is Sundarban. They are the largest mangrove forest region in the world. So this is Sundarbans in West Bengal are UNESCO World Heritage Site, and they are home to Royal Bengal tiger, Gangetic dolphins, and estuarine crocodiles. So this is what Sundarbans are about. Let us move on to previous year question. Rock cut architecture of India. The caves at Badami are the oldest surviving rock cut caves in India. No, not. Barabar rock cut caves were originally made for Rajvikas by Emperor Chandragupta Maurya. No. At Ellora, caves were made for different faith. This is right. So option is answer is C only. Chinese traveler Wang Chuang, who visited India. What did he mention about India? The roads and river routes were completely immune from robbery. No, that's not right. As regards punishment for offences ordealed by fire, water, and poison were the instruments for determining the innocence of guilt of a person. This is right. That rich man had to pay duties at ferries and barrier situations. So this is also right. So the answer is B, 2 and 3 only. So PESA, which of the following is not an objective of PESA 96? To create autonomous regions in tribal areas. So this is 6th schedule does this. So not PESA. So to create autonomous region in tribal areas is not an objective of PESA 96. In grasslands, trees do not replace the grasses as part of an ecological succession because water limits and fire. So that's all for today. If you liked it, you can subscribe the channel and share it among your friends. You can follow us on YouTube, Instagram, Telegram and Facebook. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you again tomorrow.